is now official. A lawsuit has officially been filed to get the name of the Washington football team, Washington Commanders, changed back to its original name. You know, the name that a bunch of woke white liberals wanted to change. You know, people who've got no actual honest to God skin in the game, but they thought it was actually offensive. So they figured that they would make some decisions for those who actually, let's just say those who the name actually represents. I have to start this video out a very weird way, obviously because YouTube has got this thing about limiting ads. I mean, I would complain about it, but then again, though, who the hell would listen? But then again, though, I also just complained about it. Still, though, at the same time, it doesn't really matter. You guys know me. So here's the deal. The Washington football team, the Washington Commanders, or the what I normally call them, the Washington Redskins, a while back they changed their name. Okay, they changed it to the Washington football team, and then of course they changed it to the Washington Commanders. I did a couple of videos on this, and of course I'll link them in the description box. Well, now somebody has officially filed a lawsuit on the natives' behalf. Let me go ahead and roll.
Americans are fighting to get it back. Indians, Redskins, as they so don't mind being called, as we now know. So the Native American Guardians Association, you may have heard of this story last week, but there's an update here. They actually filed a defamation lawsuit yesterday against the Washington Commanders for, quote, delegitimizing the group and its efforts to restore the team's name back to Redskins. So just to be clear, the name was Redskins. Mm-hmm. Then white people said it was offensive. They demanded it be changed. It never actually came from the Native Americans themselves. And now they're saying that's actually offensive because you're removing something that we actually thought kind of made us look cool. Here's a clip.
Now, what do you want from this lawsuit exactly?
Well, we want monetary damages for the comments that the Commander's employee made regarding Naga. He called them a fake group to a ticket box holder.
Where do things stand with your position on the name change and reversing the name back to the Redskins?
Well, I think it should be changed back to the Redskins. You know, the logo on the Redskins helmet is an actual person. It's Chief Whitecalf. And so every time they go out on that field, they were honoring Chief Whitecalf, and they were battling on the football field with the same honor and integrity and courage. And they should continue to honor that.
And just to be clear, just so you know, let me skip ahead a little bit. This is something they would do with Native Americans, right? Redskins came from Native Americans. They would associate some notable body part or some notable action. Then they would often add a color. So like, white calf, why? Have you seen his calf?
I had to get some of that from Crowder because he brought all the links and all the sources. This story is actually relatively new. Of course, I'm recording this video on Tuesday afternoon. And of course, the video will not be out until Wednesday. But the two videos that I released on Tuesday were both pieces going after the white libs because apparently they got triggered over a McDonald's commercial in Japan. And of course, a bunch of white libs thought it was a good idea to honor a literal Nazi in the Parliament of Canada. But don't worry, you guys will see those videos. Those videos are coming out on Tuesday. This video is coming out on Wednesday. But still at the same time, though, we've been paying very close attention to this issue because there are people who, by the way, are part of that fan base, that were there being the Washington football fan base, the Washington Redskins fan base, who never wanted the name to be changed to begin with. Now, guys, what I'm about to roll for you is a little bit old, but still very, very relevant. There are some people who obviously wanted the name changed, but still at the same time, the story of trying to get this team's name changed has been going on for a very long time until finally the NFL's worst owner, Dan Snyder, chose to cuck on the issue. But let's go ahead and roll this way for some further context. We'll get back on the other side and bring you guys back up to date and what's probably going to happen as a result of this.
Old, very familiar, maybe infamous name.
Yeah, that's right. According to a very popular online petition, thousands of fans are hoping for a return to the team name that was in place for 3 Super Bowls and a whole lot of controversy.
Josh Rosenthal's at FedEx Field tonight with the details and also with more.
What do you think of the name Commanders?
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's no secret. A lot of Commanders fans aren't exactly in love with the new name.
I just don't like the name. I mean, it just seems like it doesn't make any sense.
But while some are hoping for a new one altogether,
Maybe Red Tails. You know, I think that's Red Wolves. Even Warthogs would be better.
tens of thousands of other fans badly want the old name to come back. As of Tuesday evening, more than 69,000 people had signed this Change.org petition, which reads in part, "We believe that restoring the old name is the right decision for the team, its loyal fan base, and the legacy it represents."
And I think they should go back to the original name.
The team, though, isn't so sure. we reached out for comment, noting that members of the new Commanders ownership group, including Josh Harris and Magic Johnson, have used the old team name multiple times in interviews since purchasing the team. In response, a spokesperson sent us a statement saying, for nearly 90 years, this franchise had a different name, and fans and our new owners alike have fond memories of cheering for that team and watching it win 3 Super Bowls. Making a historical reference to watching and rooting for the team does not signify a shift, nor does it change the reasons for dropping the name.
Would you have a problem with them going back to the old historic team name?
Yes, I would. I just feel it's offensive.
Although this might surprise you, the majority of fans we spoke with Tuesday at this grocery store near FedEx Field sounded like this.
It's been the name always.
Are you worried that people take offense to that name?
No. Always known them as the Washington, whatever, y'all know the rest. So, yes, I would look forward to that.
Now, one thing worth mentioning, while the new Commanders ownership group may not be willing to go back to the old name when previously asked about a name change in general, so just something different than Commanders, they did not.
As the group that wants to get the name changed, of course, they are using what I personally believe to be some type of woke language itself, basically calling the Commanders, saying that the name Commanders means commanding those. Of course, it's like commanding those against the natives. It's something very, very weird. It's a very confusing defamation suit. Either way, I personally don't really like the woke lingo there. I think you could actually win this case without utilizing the woke lingo. But see, what happened in this case was that, let's just say that the Washington Redskins logo was actually based off an actual chief. We'll get to that here in a second, Chief White Calf. But then again, though, also something else, too, to consider is the fact that this organization's name has been around since 1932, and it was obviously done as a bit of a homage to those who, probably, by the way, want to call themselves the name Redskins. This is how our controversy has been going on for a very long time. I mean, dude, there are people who've been out there who've been trying to get the name of the Atlanta Braves changed. My team, of course, we went through this back in 2021 during the World Series that year. You had Bob Nightingale, Jeff Passan, and a bunch of other woke losers who really aren't really woke in real life, but for whatever reason, Major League Baseball chose to use them to try to get people behind the whole idea of changing the name. Of course, they were able to change the name of the Cleveland Indians to the Cleveland Guardians, which I personally think is... let's just say it's kind of a dumb name, I think. I think it should just go ahead and go on back to the tribe. They should just go ahead and go on back to it because you've got so many fans who have so much memorabilia, so much stuff, quite frankly, jerseys, uniforms, ball caps, all that type of stuff that actually bear the name of the team, the original name of the team. So why not go back to it? One of the things that I really and truly cannot stand is when a bunch of white suburbanites say, you know what, that's just offensive. That name just sounds offensive. Of course, one of the main complaints that these wokes had was that the term Redskins did not actually denote or did not bear the name of a tribe. Now, the Washington football franchise, the Washington Redskins, whatever you guys may want to call them, they have had several times where they have had members of the Navajo code talking community. These are World War II vets that served in the United States Marine Corps on the Pacific front. They have came out on several occasions adorned with Redskins football gear. I've always felt that if you were going to change the name, then maybe you should change the name to something to honor them rather than change the name to something to honor the white suburbanites or the white socialites. If you're going to change the name, actually get an honest-to-God sample size of people to vote on. But then again, at the same time, though, it would probably still come up a little bit short anyways because there are always going to be somebody out there who's going to object. By the way, when I mean short, I mean that you actually had the votes to actually overtake the woke nonsense, but somebody higher up is probably going to screw that up. This team does have 3 Super Bowl wins, always the Redskins. They won all 3 of them under Joe Gibbs, which is actually one hell of an accomplishment given the fact that he was able to win it with 3 different quarterbacks. As a matter of fact, if you really and truly want to go a lot deeper, you see, when you remove Redskins, you're also removing another thing. Something that the woke losers did not think about because the woke losers don't know history and they don't actually know sports. Let me take you guys back in time. Do you guys remember when the whole cancel culture thing really went into high gear during the BLM riots and protests during 2020? And they were demanding that certain pieces of media get taken away, like, for example, the film Gone with the Wind, which starred Hattie McDaniel, the first black lady to ever win an Academy Award as supporting actress. Okay, well, there's another little piece of history here that a lot of people don't seem to understand, or a lot of people don't seem to grasp. And I almost left this out in the editing phase, but I want to go ahead and say this. The first black player in NFL history to win the Super Bowl MVP award was a part of the 1987 Washington Redskins team, the second Super Bowl win for Joe Gibbs. Yeah, people don't realize this, but replacement player Doug Williams, who, by the way, was the backup, went out there and put 42 points on the board in that game against the Denver Broncos. I mean, just think about that, because the Broncos is obviously the horse of the cowboy. Of course, you do have the Dallas Cowboys too, but the white Broncos, think about that really quick. A black man who, by the way, was the backup quarterback on a team of replacements, won a Super Bowl MVP against John Elway. Many people believe to be one of the most revered quarterbacks in NFL history. I just figured I would toss that out there, because you see, the wokes oftentimes don't seem to realize that they're actually getting rid of another piece of history when they get rid of something. This team's got 3 Super Bowl wins. They all won them as the Washington Redskins. Leave that team alone, okay? I'm pretty sure that Packer fans would go absolutely crazy with all 13 NFL championships, including 4 Super Bowl wins, if you chose to change the name, because Packer may have a different connotation to a certain group or a certain minority. Granted, we're not including the first word. I just figured I would throw that out there. Should we change the name of the Dallas Cowboys because they're Cowboys and they rode on Indian land? Should we change the name of them? Should we change them to something a little bit more universal or a little bit more woke? No, they got 5 Super Bowl wins. Why the hell would you do that? Washington Redskins was an iconic franchise, and of course it's gone downhill when Dan Snyder took over the organization. It was already going downhill, but when he took over, things got a lot worse. Don't even get me started. It looks to me like they're trying to rebuild things and trying to make it a lot better. Fact of the matter is that when you change the name, you change bits and pieces of the legacy. You're also changing the history, of which, by the way, is pretty daggone rich. If you're an NFL football historian or fan, then you may remember the Hogs. That right there was the nickname that was given to the Washington Redskins offensive line during the 1991 season, where they would eventually go to the Super Bowl and play the Buffalo Bills. They would win. They were also called that in 1981 or 1982 when they won the Super Bowl against the Miami Dolphins, which, by the way, they had lost earlier in the perfect season for the Miami Dolphins, but still at the same time, though, this franchise has a lot of very, very rich history. You're changing that. One of those players, of course, was Doug Williams, as I mentioned earlier. Super Bowl MVP, first black Super Bowl MVP, first black quarterback to win it. I mean, the wokes obviously have never, ever, ever read up on what it is that they're trying to cancel. What else have these people gone after? Aunt Jemima got rid of that. Oh, and speaking of that too, I mean, you're going to hear me mention this again. I just want to go ahead and bring it up one more time, but the Cleveland Guardians, who, by the way, were the Cleveland Indians, also had the first black player in American League history. I mean, do you guys see what you're doing? You're actually not being woke at all. I mean, to actually be woke on this issue would mean that you would actually know the issues rather than a very, very small slither and then get offended by it. Don't worry, we'll be talking about the white liberals a little bit more in my second video, because obviously we've got to do something else on immigration, seeing how it is that's being bumped up from Friday to Wednesday. But I'm pretty sure you guys will get the gist. It's mostly suburban white ladies who decide to get upset about something one day, and next thing you know, their kids get upset. By the way, they've got the money to buy the brand new gear when it comes out, whereas poor working class people typically don't tend to have that because they've got to save money every year just to go to a game. And what they live in a state like, say, North Carolina, well, you got to drive 5 hours up there to get to that game. You got to go through DC traffic. What if, I mean, it's bad enough if you live in Baltimore and you happen to be a Redskins fan or a Washington Commies fan or whatever, and you guys drive over there to Landover. It could be a problem. Same thing if you live in Tyson's Corner. I mean, if you live, say, in the state of Virginia, or say if you live in West Virginia, if you live in Kentucky or Ohio, this right here could be a problem for you. You're working class. You got to save up money to go on a trip, and you got to buy all this brand new gear. Whereas the white suburbanite kids who very, very rarely even go to the stadium itself, but yet sit at home and buy all the gear and watch from the house because the stadium, quite frankly, is crap. They're the only ones who can afford this nonsense. Once again, me explaining to you how it is that the wokes are 100% totally out of touch. Meaning that they will complain about it, race hill, and still claim whatever the hell you say it is actually racist, even though you're actually honoring a tribe or whatever. Which, by the way, like I said before, was the main complaint that a lot of these white woke liberals had. And the next thing you know, people began to push back. They did polls on it. They found that consistently the issue, quite frankly, divided fans. They divided the fan base. But now that they have a name like the Commanders, which, by the way, you could call the Commies, people are starting to see that this name is just a little bit boring, a little bit dull. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And of course, the tribes, of course, the people who quite frankly are organizing this lawsuit, the people who are filing it, they found a way to use the wokeness against them. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that the people who are filing the lawsuit are woke themselves. I'm just simply saying that they found a way to use the terminology against the actual wokes. You see, one of the problems with woke, and by the way, I can already hear somebody saying, we're using that term way too much, and the next thing you know, you get slapped in the face with some social justice warrior political correct nonsense, which, by the way, is pretty much woke. It's practically tokenism, is it's actually very regressive, and of course, somebody found a way to go out there and use their language against them. I just showed you guys bits and pieces of the actual lawsuit itself, the group who decided to use the language, but I'm going to let this guy right here who did an interview with Fox News kind of explain what in the world is actually going on
after
here.
Years of criticism. Group is saying, quote, we are formally requesting the team revitalize its relationship with the American Indian community and rightfully change their name back to the Redskins. You simply cannot erase history and target the Native American community by eradicating the name Redskins. Billy Diekman is an advisor for the Native American Guardians Association. He's also a U.S. Marine and a Kiowa tribe member. And Billy joins me now. Billy, why are you fighting to bring it back?
There's a couple reasons. First of all, let me introduce myself. I am Segon Pentali from the Kiowa tribe of Oklahoma, also known as Billy Diekman, which is my adopted name. The deep, rich history behind the Redskins name, the myth that it means bloody scalps or something derogatory is what we're trying to dispel. It's a status symbol for elite warriors. Yeah. Only the elite warriors were allowed to participate in the blood root ceremony to go into battle. It even says in our fight song, Braves on the Warpath. The imagery that you see is that of Chief Two Guns White Calf. That's a real person. There's a lot of times they say, you need to get rid of your mascot. We don't have a mascot. That's a real person. That was gifted to the Redskins in the NFL by the Blackfoot tribe as a forever gift. That's one of the greatest warriors of all time. So add to that 100 years worth of history. Our fight is to reinstate this because it was taken away without consulting us, without any of our approval. And now that we're trying to get it back, we've launched a petition that has just been overwhelming. It's become a tidal wave.
The petition to change the name back is nearly...
Basically, what's happened is that they decided to do this based off of an actual petition to change the name back. Of course, these signatures you guys will see is right at 100,000 votes, a few thousand votes short. But still, though, at the same time, it's still enough to where it can get something going, something moving. Now, a lot of people, of course, are not going to turn in their old school Washington Redskins gear for Washington Commanders gear. There are some people who can do that. Those people who typically tend to do that are the people who, quite frankly, can't afford to pay for the gear. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I mentioned this in the previous video. And I know it sounds like maybe I'm beating a bit of a dead horse here, but it's actually true. The thing you have to understand about the gear issue is this. You go buy a coat at NFL.com, chances are it's probably going to cost anywhere between $120 to $240. If you buy a jersey, like I recall back in 2015 when I got an Aaron Rodgers jersey, and of course I also had a Brett Favre jersey because I always wore the jersey of the quarterback. Then I figured out later on that it was actually better and more manlier for you to wear a jersey of like an offensive lineman or a wide receiver or maybe a safety. Wish I had bought a Charles Woodson jersey when he played for the Packers. I'm pretty sure you guys are kind of getting my point here. Those jerseys are anywhere between $99 to $150 depending on what you're actually buying. Toboggans, beanies, this can be pretty high, definitely over $30 depending on where you get it at, whether it be Foot Locker, Foot Action USA, or one of the off-color stores. Baseball gear is also not cheap either. My Tyler Matzik jersey from 2021, that right there costed $75. This type of stuff is not cheap, and typically those who save up all their money over the course of a year to buy a ticket that could be anywhere between $90 to possibly $500, they're not in the position to be able to go to these games every week. However, somebody else can go to a game every week. It's typically the white suburbanite liberal. They can go because they quite frankly have the money to go. And let's also be honest about something else too. Just because it says Washington Redskins or Washington Commanders or whatever does not mean that the team is actually playing in Washington, D.C. itself. They play nearby. I want to say this team plays in Landover, which is a suburb of said city. And goes further.
You are a Marine veteran yourself, Desert Storm and Somalia. Thank you for your service. Obviously, that notion of a warrior connotes a positive thought to you. But we've been told for decades that every single Native American is offended by the name Indians, warriors, Redskins. What percentage of the people, the Native Americans that you know, are offended by the name Redskins?
Several polls have been done, independent polls. They all came back with the exact same results. 90% of natives are in approval and see it as a proud symbol. And the ones that know who Chief Two Guns White Calf is, it's even higher in those areas. So after the two polls that were done in 2015, they tried to redo it one more time by offering people 40 words. And what was their response? Overwhelmingly, again, pride came back, proud came back, strength came back.
Billy, do you view this as yet another attempt by liberal white America to tell a minority group like Native Americans how to think about their race, how to think about their heritage?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what we're trying to undo. There's been decades of this. In this day and age, there's still a Christopher Columbus Day in 2023. We're not taken serious. Our voice has not been heard. And that's what NAGA is designed for, to fight that and to correct some of that that's been eradicated. NAGA being the Native Americans Guardians Association.
It is a fascinating plight that you're taking up. I am curious to follow it and see where it goes with football season upon us. A lot of attention going to be on the Redskins.
There were a lot of people who were not asked about the name change. There's also videos of Magic Johnson, who now owns the team. He continues to say Washington Redskins over and over and over again. They continue to slip up and say that. It just seems to me like people were more comfortable saying that. Of course, people don't want to say Commanders or Commies or whatever. I've always thought that Commies was kind of a... I've always thought it was kind of a very dull name. It felt more like they weren't really thinking about it. Let's go with Commanders. Yet then again, though, somebody else could then turn right back around and use the woke lingo to say, well, it sounds like maybe it's commanding people to go to the front line. Maybe it sounds like people are commanding somebody to kill somebody off. Maybe it sounds like you're commanding the white man to kill the natives. Maybe it sounds like you're commanding. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't jive. Fact of the matter is, they should have left this entire thing alone. You've got a lot of native groups out there who, quite frankly, felt honored to be called Redskins. And I understand some people are going to be a little bit insulted by this, but the only ones who are insulted by this typically tend to be white people and the occasional non-white liberal, the non-white PC person who probably thinks that slavery is still a thing, even though it ended in the 1860s. The thing is this right here. This thing you have to understand, and I mentioned this in my video about the McDonald's debacle. These SJWs, these libs, they have to create things to complain about. They have to create things to whine about because generally, at the end of the day, they're not very happy people. They got to find something to keep them busy. So perpetual chaos, perpetual nonsense is exactly their thing. They stay in a state of depression all the time. Their goal in life is to make their depression your depression. This is kind of what Eddie Scarry talked about in his book, Liberal Misery. It's one of the reasons why I still refer to these people as the infected, because quite frankly, they are infected. People talk about the Washington Wolves, the Red Wolves, the Red Tails. I heard that in that previous one. I thought about, hey, look, maybe the Red Warriors, something like that there. Maybe the Warriors, maybe the Red Talkers, which, by the way, would be like an homage to the Wind Talkers, the Navajo. Of course, you've got a lot of different ways you could go about and still actually honor the Native Americans that are there. The reason why the term redskin, by the way, is used is not as it's not as an insult. It's actually a bit of a compliment. I want you to think about something really quick. When the white people took over this nation, or they supposedly drove the natives out, every time they did that, they were always met with fierce resistance. You see, the term redskin is actually a term of endearment. The man with the red skin really gave me hell. The man with the red skin, he killed 6 or 7 of my soldiers while defending his home, while defending his wife, defending his child, defending his kids, defending his family, defending his land, defending his tribe. It's something to be proud of. As a matter of fact, if you ever talk to anyone who is Native or anyone who is Indian, you will find out that they are very, very, very proud. I understand this right here may be the anti-PC way of saying it, but the fact of the matter is, if you ever go talk to anyone who is of Cherokee, you are going to find out that he is proud to be Cherokee. You're going to find out that he is proud to be Navajo. You are going to find out that he is proud to have some Algonquin blood in him. You're going to find that he is going to be proud to have some Mohawk blood in him. You're going to find out that he is proud to have some Iroquois blood in him. He's also going to be proud to have some Tuscarora blood in him. And he's also going to be proud to have some Lumbee in his blood. If you ever go to North Carolina and you run to someone who is Lumbee, trust me, they are very, very proud people. Do not piss them off. You can obviously see what the hell is going on. The white man is conquering them again. The white man is trying to take over what the hell belongs to them. Except the thing is this right here. It's the woke white liberal. That right there may have been what they really and truly are scared of. The woke white liberal is doing it through nonsense. They're doing it through legal fare. They're doing it through complaints. That right there is what I think the natives are really and truly upset about. So, by all means, please change the name back to Washington Redskins. And once again, I really and truly don't care what SJWs or the infected have to say or what the hell they think. They can piss off. Make sure you guys like this video. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Please make sure you do that if you like what you hear. Also, hit the notifications bell so that way you guys notify when my videos come out. Leave a comment in the comment section. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. Even if it is from the infected, I would love to hear your cries, and I will see you later.